What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow, today we are back less than 1 week from the Survivor Season 38 season premiere. And today we are going to be doing our boot list for the season. So, everyone from the first person voted out of Edge of Extinction to the final three and the winner of the season. So, my name is Rachel.
And I'm Alyssa. And Rachel and I were talking before we started rolling, and we were like, we both totally forgot about like the whole Edge of Extinction twist or whatever. So like, my boot list probably crap because I said that each person could only get voted out once. So like, YOLO. I'm just gonna say that my boot list is where people's final positions will be, not like any of that like voting out, coming back shit. I'm not prepared for that.
Yeah, I'm like, when I was doing this today, I was sort of, this is really, really hard. No one really stood out to me as like a clear, oh, this person would be a great first boot, or like, oh, this person looks like a mid merge or like a final six finale night kind of thing. So it was really, really hard to make this boot list. And I just found myself picking randomly. I'm like, oh, okay, like you seem like a person who would get voted out after the merge and then stuck them there.
Yeah, I think the only people who I like had really solid reasoning for their placements would be like the people who are returning because I was like, I know what all of their flaws are. I know like what they're gonna do or not gonna do probably based on their first season. So I know what's happening.
Yeah, so you let us know what you all think is the first boot, who's the winner of the season. We're going to go through everyone and talk about why we think maybe they're going to end up in that sort of similar area. So, when I was doing the boot list, I split it into like first two getting voted out, tribe swap at 16, and then the merge at like 13.
Yeah, I had the merge happening, I think, a little later at 10 instead of 13. So that's interesting.
Shoot. Yeah, it's also weird because it's a smaller season, only 18 versus like the 20 we've been seeing recently. So that's also a factor in. And so two tribes of 9. Very interesting.
Yeah, I think that that's interesting because like I like it when there are fewer players because then I feel like the voting out doesn't feel as hectic, but at the same time it's like how are you going to do all those tribe swaps that you love to do? So
Yeah, because I was like, okay, tribe swap at 16. You really can't do 14 or 13 unless you do push the merge back to like 11 or 12, or like the numbers just don't align. So maybe this stupid Edge of Extinction thing will like make a merge later, earlier, whatever. I have no idea. But yeah, I'm just, next video we'll do tricks and twists and tricks about the Survivor season, and we'll talk all about the Edge of Extinction.
yeah, and I think yeah, the twists and tricks. Geez, I can't say that. I think we'll change this slightly as I mentioned earlier. So
Yeah, so starting off, first boot of the season, I was thinking, I don't know, no one was really giving me first boot vibes. It was sort of difficult. I'm saying Blue Tribe loses the first immunity challenge because Joe Anglim is on the Yellow Tribe, and we know Joe's track record, given last time he played, didn't even go to Tribal Council until the merge. So I was like, okay, Joe's going to win it for the Yellow Tribe. He won't see Tribal Council potentially till the merge again because he's just like somehow that good at physical immunity challenges. So Blue's going to go. And I said Reem as my first boot. I don't know. No real reason. With 9 people, it was sort of difficult. I couldn't see Rick and Wendy going first because they were in the preview for the show. And then I don't know. I was hoping that Kelly or David wouldn't be one of the first boots. So I had to pick someone, and I picked Reem out of Reem and Keith that I was like going back and forth with, and older woman. So I felt like she might fit in less with the group.
Yeah, that's interesting because I had Reem as my number two boot, but as my number one boot, I had Ron Clark, just because
Oh,
like my man's. He's one of the older guys on the season, and he just also he said that he was a really sore loser. So I feel like if his team loses the first challenge, then he's going to like have a lot to say about that, and not necessarily in a positive way. And I think that that would make him a target for being booted, because then people like not want to keep him around if he's just like giving them negative vibes. So
so you're thinking that Yellow Tribe goes first to tribal?
yeah, just because I don't think that they can bank on Joe, just because it's been a hot sec since he was last on Survivor. It's been 4 years since his last Survivor appearance. He grew that mustache, so
Ugh.
maybe other stuff changed too.
You're right. Maybe that mustache will make Yellow Tribe lose and Joe will be first boot. But I doubt it. I don't know. Joe's just too OP at those challenges. So I'm like, knowing him, like something will happen and he gets so lucky that his tribe is physically more dominant or something crazy. So yeah, very interesting because I had Ron going early and then I had a change of heart and I'm like, Ron just looks like so basic that I think he could blend in and people would forget that he's there.
Oh, yeah, I feel like that's also a possibility. Like, mm, he's one of those
Yes.
people where if he does go first, everyone's gonna forget he was even on the season. So
Isn't that like a lot of first boots? That's so sad.
true. Except for Francesca.
Gotta do it twice to be memorable. So, my second boot, I was very, very conflicted with this. I think Blue Tribe will go back to back tribals. I don't know. It just seems like once you go once, especially first boot, chances are there's always a less good tribe, less dominant tribe. I was like, whatever. Blue is going to go again. Joe Anglem's on the other tribe. They're going to win, obviously. So, this was really sad. I was like thinking logically, and I'm like, all four of the returnees cannot make it until the merge, which like I would love to see all of them make it back to the merge, make it to the finales again, whatever. But it's like logically, that's not going to happen. I think the returnees could potentially have a big target on their back, like Russell Hantz when he and Boston Rob came back their second season. So I have Kelly Wentworth going home second. I don't know. I feel like out of Kelly and David on the Blue Tribe, if they're going, I feel like Kelly is the perceivably bigger threat. I think her moves were more flashy in the second time she played versus David has only played once in Millennials versus Gen X. If you just think of David, like, yes, he's a smart guy, but like smaller stature, like scrawny kind of thing versus Kelly. You'd be like, oh, the Andrew Savage vote. Oh, she was on the bottom, but she still made Final Four kind of thing. Finding multiple idols, the Keith vote kind of thing. So I think Kelly just had more flashy moves that people would remember more. And then she'd get voted out earlier than I think David, maybe not second, whatever. But then I think Kelly is physically strong that she could make it back in the edge of extinction freaking portion of this game.
I really hope that Kelly doesn't go second.
Me too. I love Kelly. I'm so sad because she's the one out of the four that both of us have said like we would be rooting for.
Yeah. So, like I said, for my second boot, I had Reem basically for the same reasons that Rachel said. Like, she's an older woman, and I'm not really sure that she like fits in with the rest of her tribe. So, kind of a simple boot that everyone could more or less agree on while they're working on like figuring out where their alliances are and stuff.
Yeah, poor Reem. So I guess our consensus is that she is going early. So that's two people voted out of the 18. I was thinking at 16 there is a tribe swap because 14 or 15 would be maybe potentially too late. You could switch into seven or two groups of seven at 14, or like at 15 do 7 7 and an exile island or something. But then it just gets really complicated, especially with their stupid edge of extinction. So I don't know. tribe swap happening semi soon. So then we're just guessing willy nilly for these boots because you don't know who's on what tribe. You don't know who's going to go to tribal, whatever. So my third person getting voted out of the season, I have Julie, because I think if Julie and Julia are still on the same tribe because they start on the same tribe, you know, you can't have the similar name twins, whatever. So I feel like Julie out of Julia. Julie is the older one. She says she's a self-proclaimed neurotic. She wants to play like Dawn. I don't know. I think the older one, which is so bad to say, like sucks, but like I think Julie would go home out of Julie versus Julia.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting because, like, I also had Julie going before Julia, but not until a little bit later in the lineup. For my third boot, I had Gavin, just
Ooh,
because we were
that's
talking about how that whole like country boy thing, like I feel like the country boy archetype always makes it further than I think they will, but I really think that he's like the most annoying version of that like stereotype.
I think
And I
he's,
think that, like,
yeah, like it's the dead horse of the country boy. You've had two successful ones in Donathan and Nick. You can't bring another one on.
plus I think also he's not that like physically strong, and so he's not going to be useful to a tribe um in like physical challenges and stuff like that. So I think that he'd probably like end up not being enough of an asset to justify keeping him.
That's interesting because I have Gavin as my fourth boot. So after Julie, I have Gavin going because I'm like, he's young. I don't know. He seems like the type that'll go balls to the wall too quickly. Like he just looks like he wants to play the game so bad that he'll start too strong and be like one of those flame burnouts really early. And I had Ron here in this position as the fourth person going home, and then I moved Ron. I don't know. I think if it's a Gavin versus Ron, like up on the block, like I think send Gavin home and then keep Ron. Ron can probably blend in more. I don't know. So he was your first boot, and then he got saved in my version. But yeah, I definitely think seems like consensus for both of us is Gavin is going pretty early on.
Yeah, poor Gavin.
He has his wedding, whatever story.
Yeah.
Your fourth person?
My fourth person is Dan the War Dog De Silva. Just because,
Wait, this
like,
is so weird, Alyssa. That's my next person. We're one
wow.
off all of these.
But basically, what you were saying about like going too hard too fast, I feel like that's something Dan would definitely do. Because if I'm remembering correctly, he said that he wanted to play like Tony did, and we've talked, I think, pretty extensively about how like people who want to play like Tony very rarely do well. So yeah.
Yeah, so very interesting because I have Dan as my fifth person going home. So Alyssa and I are one off right now. I was thinking the merge would be at 13. So this would be like the last boot before the merge. Potentially, you would want one of the guys to go home. So I was between like Eric, Dan, and Chris. And then I was like, okay, it's got to be Dan. If you give yourself the War Dog nickname, like there's something wrong with you. I feel like Dan could be potentially more cocky or entitled than the other two guys. So you would vote Dan out before Eric or Chris, I think. But yeah, similar. I'm like, before the merge, you have to get rid of some of the big guys. I think Joe's strategy would probably be to try to keep the big guys around as a meat shield, a la Jeremy's strategy. And I think that could be really good for Joe. And so I don't know. Dan is going. We both agree.
Yeah. So my fifth boot, I had Victoria. Um, Mostly I just thought that like her general like attitude towards things might eventually like rub people the wrong way. Like what she said about like bringing up the fact that she was valedictorian as often as possible was yikes. And I don't know, I just feel like we've talked about how like women are more likely to be voted out early on in Survivor, and I feel like young women especially get the short end of the stick. So yeah, that was more like a themes of Survivor vote out than like I specifically think she has a flaw that is going to be like cause her to lead to her downfall.
This is yeah. I have Victoria winning this season because I'm like, I don't know. She seems cool. I'm like, let's go young girls this season. Which I guess they're not really young. That sounds really weird. But I don't know. I think for Victoria, she seems I don't know. I just like her. So I have her taking home it all, which when I was thinking about it, I was like, who could be my winner pick? And then I'm like, it's sort of weird because you're right. Like, she is younger kind of thing. But I'm like, let's do it. It could be a woozy of a season like that. So interesting. You have her going out fifth.
I feel like we're either like totally on the same page about these boots or like eons away from each other because Rachel had Kelly as her second boot and I had Kelly as my winner pick. So it's like, yikes.
Yo, I have Kelly coming back after the Edge of Extinction twist. So she can come back. But yeah, it's very interesting that we're like opposites, but we're same with like Gavin and Dan. So I was thinking the merge is at 13. Alyssa, it seems like you still have all four of the returnees potentially making the 13-person merge, or if you had the merge at 11 or 12, we'll see. But my merge boot, I have Aubrey, and I'm like, okay, I would love to see all the returnees make it far, like I said, but in reality, probably not. So I think I could see Aubrey as a merge boot. I think when at the merge, when Jeff announces that, like, oh, haha, y'all, the Edge of Extinction exists and people can come back into the game, which, like, apparently they don't tell them until, like, it actually happens or after you get voted out. So the people still in the game don't know, I guess, sort of like Pearl Islands, that kind of thing. So people will freak out about this. Kelly Wentworth potentially comes back in my scenario after the merge, and then people are like, holy crap, all four returnees are still here. Let's vote out Aubrey. And so I think the returnees will have a target on their back, and the people on this season seem smart, and they're not going to be like idolizing the returnees. So I think merge boot Aubrey.
That is way ahead of where we are. Okay. I was like, did I just miss us doing the rest of what?
Well,
Because
you
we
had
had
the merge
the
later,
yeah,
yeah.
we had the merge happening at separate times. So I was just like, wait, we're at the merge? Yeah. Okay. Whew. So in my scenario, the merge hasn't happened yet. And so this is just the two or three tribes just continuing to vote people out like pre merge. And so what I was thinking about is how a lot of times, especially if it's a tribe split into three tribes, it's like there's the one tribe that always ends up doing super, super, super sucky. Like we've seen this happen several times, like the Brains tribe and the first Brains Beauty Brawn, and then I forget their name, but they were the Green tribe in Second Chances, and then yeah, it's happened like where there's one tribe that's just down on their luck. And so I said that was going to happen to one of the tribes, and they were going to say that Lauren was the weakest member of their tribe and vote out Lauren. So that was probably an unnecessarily long explanation for a rather arbitrary boot pick, but there we go.
Lauren's played whatever division, whatever sport she plays in college, and she talks about it on her bio.
Yeah, but we know how boys are. Sometimes boys are like, you are not boy, you are not strong. Or like, if she's not good enough at puzzles or whatever.
Which it's interesting because we're like opposite on this too. I have Lauren making it pretty far on the basis that she like aligns with the really attractive guys because like she's super pretty and like they would fit in well together as like a group. But yeah, I could also see her going early too.
Yeah, I love that attractive people alliance is apparently a thing now.
Yeah, they just bond together. Like, I would say Lauren's the most attractive person on the season. So, like, conventionally attractive.
Huh, that's interesting.
Who else? Who else is there? Joe?
I thought that Victoria was very pretty, like her hair, that red hair. Like,
Yeah, I think, yeah, Victoria's really cute.
I would say Kelly's conventionally attractive.
That's all. That's also true. Kelly's really pretty. For the guys, Eric out of the Eric, Chris, and oh my God, they changed Dan's name to War Dog on Survivor Wiki. I am just seeing that right now. This is so gross.
Oh,
I need to go. Who's Dan? It's War Dog.
yikes. So he's really doing that, I guess. Okay.
He looks like Ace, but like a knockoff Ace. And if you give yourself a name of War Dog and you don't have the accent, like, I don't know.
Okay.
There's not that many attractive people this season, maybe. I don't know. Everyone's like average, which that's better. So
Yeah.
I have next at 13, 12. Chris going home as the second person in the merge. I was thinking with this, it seems like recently a lot of the big dudes have gone out right after the merge, like we saw last season. One person goes and then all the guys go. So I'm having Chris go. Maybe collateral for Joe. I was thinking Joe wins immunity or whatever. Joe needs to keep the big dudes around. So how do you get at Joe is to strike out one of his right hand men. So I'm like, whatever, Chris is going home.
Yeah, I think I had the same sort of rationale when I got to my merge, but that's not for a hot sec yet. So I had Julie going next in my boot list just because of the whole Julie Julia thing. Like if I have to listen to them like trying to figure out the Julie versus Julia thing for longer than like 6 weeks, then I'm gonna go a little bit insane. And I think Rachel went over like why she thought that Julie would go before Julia in this like made up battle that we had. But yeah, I think Julie's going next.
Yeah, so it's interesting how we both have Julie going home before Julia. My next person, 11, 20, or 18. Yeah, 11. I have Eric. Same thing with Chris. I think maybe they have like a Three Musketeers going, like, or the Witches Coven thing, like Kelly had. So, Three Musketeers a la Malcolm. And so it would be Chris, Eric, and Joe. Obviously, Joe makes it further because for some reason, everyone's up his butt. But I think Eric, after Chris goes, their Three Musketeers is sort of dwindling. Joe maybe wins immunity again. So take out Eric, and then Joe doesn't have anyone or like double idol, whatever. I'm like, you gotta target Joe's people. So there we go.
Yeah, yeah.
But maybe that's giving Joe too much credit because we haven't really seen Joe be all that strategic. So saying he has an alliance, that might be pushing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Joe's
So
still in both of our scenarios still, and it's almost final 10.
yeah, almost. Yeah. So the next person I had going out, and this is my last person before the merge, is Julia. Mostly because, again, I know this is a really stupid reason, but as Rachel mentioned in our like reacting to the cast thing, we had an English teacher named
Oh,
Julia Carter, and like I really didn't like her. So yeah,
so
she
you
just
would vote
had,
her out of the island because her name is Julia Carter.
at this point I was struggling to come up with who would be in which place. So there were some people I was just kind of like, I guess that makes sense, and I moved on with my life. So yeah,
So final 10 for both of us. Seems like your merge is happening. My 10th place. Final 10, that's almost halfway. So Ron is my 10th final 10 first boot. I don't know. I felt like maybe Ron could make it far, slide under the radar. He has that like really creepy smile and his eyes are just a little too piercing. So I'm like, I don't think he's winner material, but he seems very friendly and he could have a good social game, like works with kids all day kind of thing. He's probably a good person, but like that creepy smile, I don't know.
Yeah. 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 Okay. That's valid. That's super valid. Like
We're so mean.
I totally forgot about that smile, and then you said it, and it was like I got hit by a freight train, and I was like, oh wow, that smile did exist. And sometimes I feel like when you do boot lists, you have to be a little bit mean because you know so little about these people that like you can't be like trying to vote them off because you feel like their survivor strategy is flawed because you don't even know what their survivor strategy is. So
Yeah, we're like,
that's me.
Joe's mustache is ugly. There's no attractive people this season. Julia Carter's got to go because of her name. Ron's got a creepy smile. Like, hold your horses, people.
I really hope our English teacher doesn't watch this video and realize how much I disliked her. Like,
Henry.
yeah. Okay, but so I had the merge happening, and then as the merge boot, I had the totally unexpected person of Wendy, because I was like, of the people that they show in the like commercial thing, I feel like one of them goes pretty soon after the merge, and one of them like gets deeper into the game. And I was like, you know what? Wendy seems like she can be a little bit abrasive. She seems like she could be the kind of person who could like be seen as a threat just because she can talk. And so I was like, they're gonna have that whole argument that they always seem to have at the merge about whether to get rid of physical threats or strategic threats. And they're gonna have that same thing about like, oh, you can get rid of a physical threat at any time, but a strategic threat you have to get rid of as soon as possible. So yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting because Wendy, I guess you have Rick going far. So my ninth is Julia. So I guess a few places off of where you have Julia. I feel like she can be a good player, so she needs to get voted out. She seems strong and smart. So I think, once you're starting to get into the thick of things with like final 9 right now, time to vote out some maybe more strategic people over like the brute force kind of people. So I was like, Julia seems smart. Let's vote her out.
Okay, that's valid. Much better reasoning than sharing a name with our English teacher. So, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Your next
So,
person?
yeah, for my next person, I had Joe, just because,
Oh,
like, in his first seasons, like, you see him, like, getting further every time. Like, he wants to make the merge, and then he wants to, like, do the family visit or whatever. And I feel like it would be, like, kind of poetic justice if like he didn't get further than he got last time. And also just I feel like he's so well known as a challenge threat that after the merge comes, the first challenge that he loses, they're just gonna slit his throat.
That's true. That's really, really valid, especially because I guess in my scenario, I don't know how I have Joe getting so far. You still have all 4 returnees making it to final 9, technically. But Joe, yeah, he makes it to the finale night for me because I'm like, something's going to get lucky. Why are people so high up on his horse? Everyone thinks, like, oh, haha, third time's the charm for Joe. Well, third time's also the charm for Kelly and Aubrey. Like, only David's a second time player. So, my next person at final 8, I have David. I don't know. I don't see David winning. I feel like he can go far, like under the radar or overestimated again. But being the scrawny dude, like scared of leaves or whatever, like Suri only works once, but Suri's made it far every single time. For guys, maybe it doesn't work. We haven't really seen it, but like Cochran coming in, that kind of thing with similar archetypes. I don't know. Don't see David winning. Final 9 isn't bad. Maybe he could get further. I feel like he could have an idol or find idols like he did his previous season and make it further. But I don't think he can do better than Final 4 than like he did in Millennials versus Gen X.
Yeah, I also had David going pretty early. I had him going not this vote, but the vote after that, basically for the same reason. But for my next person, the 11th out, I had Eric because I was thinking about how like the big like beefy guys basically get out at this point in the game, and I feel like with Joe out, they'll then turn to either Eric or Chris. So like if Chris wins, then Eric will get out, and if Eric wins, then Chris will get out. So yeah.
That's interesting because we both have the sort of like big guys going home sequentially after one another. Mine just happens like earlier than yours.
Yeah, because your merge happened earlier than mine.
Yeah, so maybe the timelines do match up. So that's really interesting. So my seventh place or like seventh person left. So that person voted out. I have Keith. So one away from finale night at final 6. I don't know. I feel like Keith will make it far. He seems very good under the radar, or maybe his first boot, like I'm saying, over Reem. But I like Keith. He seems friendly enough. So I have him making it just screwed out of finale night. I don't see him in a final 6 scenario. So I have Keith going then.
Yeah, that's fair. That's sad though, because I really liked Keith, so I had him going further. So my 12th boot is David, basically for the same reasons Rachel said about how like he can only really use the whole like scared of leaves thing once, and how like I think people kind of know about his strategic prowess, and while I think there are other people that like attract more strategic attention, when the field narrows, people are going to be like, wait, wasn't David like super strategic? And then they'll vote him out.
Yeah. So final 6. Do we want to say who's both in our final 6? Then go 6 fire making challenge, 4 final 3 winner.
Sounds good.
So in a random order, my final 6, I have Lauren, Aurora, Rick, Joe, Victoria, and Wendy left.
I think of those, I only had Aurora and Rick left because I also had Kelly, Aubrey, Keith, and Chris.
Okay, interesting. At least, so we know we've got 2 of the same. And so maybe that means something for Aurora and Rick. I have Wendy going out at final 6. Like Alyssa said with the whole preview thing, Wendy and Rick were both in the preview that they showed last season. So I figured, like, okay, maybe then we can make it far. Last season, we saw Angelina was in the preview. She made final 3. Mike White was not in the preview, but no, I don't know. I don't remember. I think maybe he was. Now I forget. So Wendy, I'm saying final 6. No real reason. I just think I have Rick in my final 3. I don't think 2 people from the preview can make it that far. Or maybe Wendy's more of the Natalie character and she's just like really outgoing and then she goes out pre-merge and then she was a character and that's why she was in the preview because Natalie was also in the preview but she didn't make it to finale night. But Wendy's going at 6.
I had Chris going at 6 just because I feel like he could do the whole like immunity run, whatever, and then get voted out because people don't want him to get a spot in the finals just because he wins immunity.
The new Joe. Aw.
Yeah. Joe's beat at his own game.
Yeah, so I have next at final 5, I say Joe's going. I feel like you cannot bring Joe to a fire making challenge, especially because the fire making thing isn't new. Maybe Joe gets voted out early and he comes back at this point in time for the Edge of Extinction thing because I feel like Joe could potentially win those challenges and make it back in finale night or whatever. But I think if you're smart, you don't let Joe go to the final four fire making challenge. And so yeah, you need to vote him out. Maybe he did an immunity run similar to what you're saying, Alyssa, with Chris. And so this is the first time he like doesn't have an idol, doesn't have immunity, whatever, at final five. So I have Joe. I don't know. I'm sort of conflicted because a lot of people are like really gung ho about Joe winning. So then I'm sort of like, why do people like him that much? But he's not winning in my scenario.
Yeah. So I had Keith going out in position number 5 just because I feel like he's the kind of guy that could be seen as a jury threat because he seems very like likable and stuff like that, and I think that he has like a good story about his life, and so I feel like Keith might be seen as a jury threat, and obviously you don't want to potentially get a jury threat into the finals, so.
Yeah, I think Keith is so likable. Like we talked in our cast assessment, he just seems so friendly. So I want to be his friend. But my fourth person, one, I guess they lose the fire making challenge. I have Aurora losing the fire making. I don't know. No real reason. Maybe she's bad at fire. That's how the sticks fell, because I think if Aurora did make it to final 3, I could see Aurora as a winner pick. She seems like a very strong girl, and I'm like, damn, I'd want to vote for you as a winner. So she has to lose in order for other people to win.
That's valid. I had her in my final 3, but I didn't have her winning, so that's interesting. For me, I had fire going between Rick and Aubrey
Ooh.
because I thought that Rick would be their like goat, and so it's like if Rick loses the fire making challenge, it's not that big of a deal for his alliance, and they really want to take Aubrey out because like she almost won her first season and she got pretty close her second season, so it's like you don't want Aubrey to be in the final. So yes.
Did all these?
And so,
Yeah.
hmm?
Go ahead.
And so I said that Aubrey was gonna lose fire, so yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because what David's fourth place, Kelly's fourth place, Aubrey was like second place. So where did Joe finish? Family visit.
Mm-hmm.
We're so mean. So final 3, I have Victoria, Lauren, and Rick. I think I don't know. They just seem like they have good personalities. Maybe they bonded together. Initially, I wanted to have Lauren go early, but then I'm like, there's something about her that I could see her making it really far into the game. She doesn't look 21. Honestly, Victoria looks younger than Lauren, but Victoria's older is sort of weird. I think that'd be an interesting final 3 because I think maybe they bring different things to the table. And then for no real reason, I had Victoria winning. I think she seems like a really cool person, fun to be around. She said she's been training, like eating more kind of thing, reading the like books and stuff like that. So I think like she's physically and mentally prepared for the show. It'll be interesting to see like if all her preparations become a win with the season.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting, like if people like got prepping for Survivor down to a science, just because I think that would be funny. Like, what is the way you can ensure that you'll be most physically ready for Survivor? Yeah. So, do we want to do like final 3 and then like how many votes we think each person will get or something? Question mark.
Who's even in your final 3? You didn't say.
Oh yeah, I had Kelly, Aurora, and Rick in my final 3.
Yo, we're so similar. If Aurora wins fire, she's in my final 3.
Yes, but then Kelly is not anywhere near winning for you.
I wish.
I know Selfie.
I would love to see her win. Logically, I don't know. It seems hard. She's such a good player. I wouldn't want to keep her around if I were on the show.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like there's such a pattern with like returnees winning seasons that are like mixed. So Like even when Rob was the only person on his season, or I guess him and Russell. Oh, I forgot Russell was even there. Like even when Rob like obviously was like leading everyone else around by their ears, like he still ended up winning despite being an obvious threat. So
That's true. Like we've seen what fans versus favorites, stuff like that. Winner of returnee players always have won those. So it will be interesting to see if they're able to pull it out in this. Honestly, I would wish that they came back on an all returnee season because it's just unfair advantages to have the stupid people who've played 2 or 3 times come back again for an all newbie season. So I'm just sort of bittered. And then you have the freaking twist, and like it's going to be rigged for someone like Joe to win because he can go to exile and then come back a million times.
yeah. I really like am not pleased with the idea of Joe winning. Like I don't know why so many people are like Joe's gonna win. Third time's the charm. Like,
So Kelly's your winner pick. I don't think you said after your final
oh
three.
yeah, Kelly's my winner pick. I think Aurora's gonna come in second, and then Rick is gonna come in third.
Interesting. We both have Rick in the final three. For all of you watching, who's your final three? Who's your first boot? Who's your winner pick? Do you agree or do you disagree with Alyssa and I's analysis? It'll be interesting to see how this season plays out because, like we've said, everything is just so willy nilly right now. Like, I don't even know.
Yeah. I guess I should throw in as a disclaimer, like I think that Kelly's gonna win by like a narrow margin. Like I don't think she's gonna sweep.
Ooh,
So that's
interesting.
that's
Aurora.
my disclaimer. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So, because the Survivor season is coming up in literally 5, 6 days, we're going to try to podcast on Sunday as well and do a little twist and tricks video for the Edge of Extinction. So, we will see you all in a few days. Like and subscribe and comment who you think is the winner and the losers of this season.
Bye.
Bye.